In my last video, I spoke about why some men can't get women to listen to them. And now in this video, I am going to speak about why some women can't find a provider. Now, some people might find my message a little bit salty. I don't care. The reason why I think some women can't find a provider is because they just don't know their target. Like I said, the reason why some women can't find a provider, it's because they don't know their target. And if you think about it, it is true. Now, I'm going to go in two different ways in this conversation. So if I sound like I'm all over the place, I'm getting somewhere with this. So, two things: they just don't know their target. And another thing is they don't work on themselves. Now, in my last video, I spoke about how if a guy wants a woman to listen to him, he needs to check himself and figure out like who he is and why should a woman even listen to him in the first place. Because a lot of guys, they're just not that dude. And for me, if I'm going to listen to you, you have to be that guy. And I spoke about it in my last video, so I'm not going to go too much over it in this video. But I just said like a lot of guys are sheeps and clowns, and I don't follow sheeps and clowns, so therefore I'm not going to listen to you because you are a dude. Now, in this situation, I don't think a guy should provide for a woman just because you have a cooch. Everything is earned, and for a guy to want to even provide for a woman, he has to there has to be some type of drive or something to move him. It shouldn't be forced. So if he's going to provide for you, you got to sit back and think like, who am I and why should I even be provided for to even make these type of demands? Everything is earned. So you have to check yourself and work on yourself and be like, well, why do I even deserve to be provided for? And I do see when guys, when they find that one woman that they're like, that's that one, they start moving mountains. And I know this is true because I speak to a lot of dudes, not like on some flirtatious stuff. Like, I'm actually cool with a lot of dudes. And I see how they act when it comes to this one particular woman that they can't get their mind off of. And next thing you know, they start doing all kinds of things trying to attract her. Like this one guy that I know, this breaks my heart. This one guy that I know, he was really attracted to this one girl, but it started off cool. It started off great. She was feeling him, but then he started doing way too much, and he was being a little bit creepy, and she basically fell back, and he was heartbroken. But it was so funny because it was just like he didn't even see it coming. But I was like, dude, you're being kind of creepy. I mean, I didn't say it, but I was just like, I don't know, because she was feeling him at one point, but I did saw the signs, and he doesn't listen, so whatever. But now it's like he's going back to school, he's picking up extra hours at work. All of a sudden, he wants to work out, he wants to better himself. And that was all due to this particular chick that he really, really, really had a crush on. And I've seen that with multiple dudes. This one is going to sound funny. This is one guy that I know, and I don't know. Whoever he was into, I guess he was trying to impress, and at one point he was moisturizing his hair. Now he has like maybe 4B, 4C type hair, like coily to like kinky hair. And you know, when you have curly coil and kinky hair, you cannot just walk at the house and not have it moisturized. And he used to moisturize his hair a lot, and then he stopped. And I was just like why are you leaving your hair in that state? Like, it looks like it needs to be moisturized. And he was like, oh, I only did that to like pick up bitches or whatever. And I'm like, you should be doing that anyway in general, just for the health of your hair. But to my point, guys go to great length trying to catch that one. And if you are not that one, they're not going to be moving mountains, period. Like, so for a man to provide for someone, it shouldn't be like a forceful thing. He has to want to do that. And with free will and them choosing to do that, that's even more powerful than force, period. And I know some of you guys are thinking, like, why should I even bother to look into the mirror and check myself and see if I'm that one that he should be providing for? Because I know some of you guys think that he should just love me for me and that's good enough. I know that's true because I just got into a conversation with someone like that the other day, and actually I jumped into the I was brought into the conversation, and I was listening to her and she was saying how a man should love me for me and blah 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 blah. And no, that is some lazy ass shit. I get the points. Like, you shouldn't have to change into somebody else. You should be yourself, and he should love you for you. But if you think about it, in that case, there's so many women to love just for them being them. And if some women have qualities that you don't have and he likes that, well, he gonna go to the next one. Because she was saying how, like, every girl she knows, every woman she knows gets cheated on. All the dudes that she knows, all the dudes that she talks to and stuff, they've all told her that they've all cheated on their women. And she just thinks that all men are just cheaters and that's that. But no, that's not the case. Men are capable of not cheating if they have that woman worth fighting for. And I know too, people say, oh, we're animals, da 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 da. It's in our nature. Okay, sure, whatever. But at the same time, no, we're not like animals. We're a bit different from animals, which is the obvious. And if that's the case, if men want to play that, oh, we're animals, so that's just in our nature to cheat and da 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 da, like, you might as well stop driving your cars, stop doing certain things that's not necessary to do, because that's not in the nature of being an animal, if you know what I mean. But that's another topic. That is another story for another time. So yeah, you definitely have to work on yourself, and you should be doing that anyway. Like, if you care about yourself, you always want to level up, and it doesn't have to be anything like dramatic. It doesn't have to be anything in the case of being like ambitious. Like, not everybody has an entrepreneur spirit. Not everybody wants to aim so high, and that is fine. But what you can at least do is work on certain things, whether it's taking better care of yourself, whether it is having more people skills, having more empathy, sympathy, and just paying attention to your man. And that's another thing. Besides working on yourself, I did say that women just don't know their target. And what I mean is, they don't pay attention to their man. I have an example, and I don't want to talk about people's businesses on my YouTube, but I have to give an example. So I'm gonna try to keep this like clean as possible. So there's this girl that I know, and she's been dating this guy for like the past 2 years, and she was really thinking white picket fence, the house, the kids, whole 9 yards. Mind you, she's dating a guy that's a little bit older than her, and he's already been hurt. So he knows how the game works. And she was just wondering why, like, he hasn't brought her around his kids, or, you know, around the family, certain things. Why is he like very secretive about certain things, yada yada. And okay, if you're into spirituality, you might believe this. But she was telling me that she was talking to the universe or whatever, God, and she asked the higher power, like, because she don't know, she's confused. She was like, well, if he's not the one for me, give me a sign. Hurt him. The very next day, he got injured and he didn't hit her up for like 2 weeks. She had to call him, and then that's when she found out that he had hurt himself. And she was like, how come you didn't tell me, blah, 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 blah. But in my head, I was like, girl, words are very powerful. Like, why would you do that? Secondly, to go to those great lengths instead of trying to figure out what it is or why he's secretive towards you and why he's not letting you win, it's pretty obvious. Like, first of all, he's been hurt. How he's been hurt, I'm not gonna get into all that, but she knows how he's been hurt. So you should have like an idea of why he doesn't want you to like meet his family yet. And two, another thing about him is that he's very caring and he goes out his way for his family. So, and nobody gives him anything in return. So wouldn't it be nice for you to go out your way, for her to go out her way to start catering to him in some aspects? Instead of just expecting things, why not just give? And three, like, what is he even into? She didn't really know what he was into besides like maybe one or two things and she really had to think about it. And I'm like, you don't even know what he's into like that. So like, come on now. So know your target. Another example is another person that I know. I'm not gonna go into many details, but I see that he's very into cooking. Like, he loves to cook. And even though he has this career thing he's going for, he really loves cooking. And he's a bit stubborn. I told him that he should like start a YouTube channel and all that. And he's like, I hate social media, whatever. But cool. So I was telling her, like, you should get some nice pots and pans for him. And she's like, why would I do that? And I'm like, you don't think that would like brighten his freaking mood? Because that's what he always talks about cooking. And she doesn't, like, she knows what he's into, but she doesn't really know like the whole goal thing. She doesn't even know her own goals, because I had asked her like, what is her goals? She's like, what do you mean? And I'm just like, what do you mean? What do I mean? Like, how do you not, like, you don't know what your goals are in life? It doesn't have to be anything too big. And there's a lot of people like that in general. People just float through life and they just don't know. They don't know. So that's what I mean by knowing your target. You don't see what he's into, see what triggers him, see what he gets emotional over, from the little things to the big things. And some people are gonna say that's mad work, because the girl that I was speaking to a few days ago, she said that's a lot of work. Like, who's doing that? And the other girl I was speaking to, she was like, that's a lot of work. Why would I be doing that? And it's like, well, if you want him to go out his way to go into his pockets and provide for you, how can you not do the most little simple things and figure him out? Like, it's not that hard. It's just a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? You just gotta care enough to listen. A lot of people just don't listen. They just hear people talk and they just, whatever. But I wouldn't say practice. You just gotta care enough to do it. You gotta have like discipline. And you have to have a good ear, Yeah. An example I can give about that with myself, I don't really celebrate holidays like that. Like, I'm not into holidays whatsoever. but I do enjoy Christmas, and the reason for that is because I like giving presents, and I'm a gift type of person, but the gifts that I give is not the whole thing that people would expect. Like every Christmas when it comes to guys, women don't really know, they don't know what to give, so they just give like the regular cologne, socks, whatever. And then for women, people don't really know what to give besides like Bath and Body Works, perfume, lotion, jewelry, whatever. Just like the typical, typical first level shit. Me, I like to go deeper than that. So I spend every year I give myself a challenge to figure a particular person out. So whether it's like friends or family, like the whole year I spend my time like in conversations, I listen to them, I see what's, I try to figure out what's on their mind, and they don't usually like come out and say it like bluntly. It usually comes out like through passing and conversations. Like for my dad, for example, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this. My dad, for example, he's pretty tough. People don't know what to get him. But this one year, as I was just having conversations with him, it started clicking in my head that he likes looking up at the stars and stuff, and that's what he was talking about from time to time. And then he spoke about this telescope that he's been checking out on YouTube, and he wants to get it or whatever. Not right now, it's kind of expensive, yada yada yada. And he said that through passing. It wasn't like the main point of the conversation. So I was like, that's it. That's what I don't want to get copyrighted. Anyway, that's it. That's what he wants. So I went out my way and bought him this telescope. And on the day of Christmas, when they was opening these gifts, and I gave him that gift last, when he opened it up, his like face lit up, and no one was expecting that. And that's because I was listening to him. Another person I'll say is my brother. He's another tough one. The past, maybe like last 2 years ago, he was talking about getting a car and stuff like that. Saying it through passing. From time to time, he'll talk about how much he saved up, this and that, da 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 da. So that Christmas, I had got him certain things for his car when he gets it. And he was super excited. And it sounds like the obvious, but when you're not really listening to people, you're not going to really catch things. Like everybody else was just giving colognes and socks and stuff. I gave him something that he didn't know that he needed, because in his deepest desires, this is what he is looking forward to. My dad, his deepest desire at the time was getting this telescope and looking up at the stars. So it's not a lot of work, and it's not a lot of brain power. You just gotta listen to guys. So when you're searching for when you're trying to find your target, you have to know certain things about him to at least make him feel like, wow, this girl is awesome. I want to provide for her. Another thing too, before I get off of here, a lot of women think a way to keep a guy and have him provide for you is if you look like the baddest bitch on earth and you know how to fuck well. Like your pussy is the shit. And although that is a good thing to have, it's a plus, and yeah, even though that sounds great, that's not what keeps a guy. And unfortunately, a lot of women think like that. And sensuality, sexuality is one thing, but learning, having other skills you know, in psychology, like the little things, that goes a long way. And like what I was saying in this video of catching a target, like knowing just the little things about him, that goes a long way, more so than just being into yourself. Because I've heard things of women saying, leveling up for yourself and looking your best and having him see that will be good enough. Yeah, it's motivation, but it's not everything because it doesn't do much for him. It's nice to have a cute chick on your arms, but it doesn't really do much. But I also think there's something else behind that too. Because time and time again, like guys that I speak to, they say that they don't really care for, like, of course they like an attractive girl. Like, they like an attractive woman. They like ass. They like titties. They like all that. But they don't like the shallowness that comes with it. They don't like the long caterpillar eyelashes. They don't like the weaves like that. They don't like the fake stuff. But in some cases, they gotta settle. They gotta get what they can get because they can barely get cooch like that anyway. But, you know, I think there's something else behind it too. Because if guys say that they don't really care for all that and women still do it, it has nothing to do with men. And I was telling some of the guys I speak to that women are in competition with each other, and with this whole social media thing and trying to compete of who can get the most likes and who can set the most thirst traps. And even though they're not saying it consciously, subconsciously, that's what they're doing, going out their way to get their bodies done, putting their life at risk. You know, those are risky procedures and you're still doing it anyway. And it's not for self-love. It's not for yourself, because if you loved yourself to that degree, you wouldn't put your life on the line just to have plastic ass. You know, it's just, that's not self-love. So you don't really need to do all that, but that's another video for another time, because that is something that needs to be spoken about more. Even though I see people doing that already, the message still needs to be put out, because women are still doing it. And even though it's none of my business, it's just like, it's just wild to me to see them put their life on the line for what? Like, for what? At the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, for what? Another thing too, you don't need to have the curviest body to turn a man on in the bedroom. There are other things that you can do if you are thinking more of the sensual, sexual route. I might speak about this in a video soon. I don't know. I've done it before, but I can do an update again. And it's very detailed, but it has to do with the muscle inside your JJ and like using it in certain ways to turn a guy on. Like, I'm blushing up. There's subtle things that you can do, mysterious things, alluring that you can do besides just looking the part, and the actions that comes with it is two different things. It might look good, but it might not feel good, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so that's my intake on this of why women can't find a provider. I hope this helps. If not, it doesn't matter. It's just, it is what it is. And